Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and today I am writing solo as I give my spoiler-free thoughts on Netflix's Damsel. And before we begin today's episode, you can, of course, listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at Film Optix. Again, that is Optix with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to be giving my initial thoughts on Damsel. This is a Netflix film that is starring Millie Bobby Brown and will be out as of recording of this video March 8th, 2024 for everyone to check out on Netflix. So this is going to be just a quick little initial reaction to this movie. I'm not going to be giving away any spoiler plot lines or anything like that. I want people to enjoy this movie for what it is, and I feel like the best way to do that is just to give you just a little bit of the tea, not the whole kettle, if you will. But without further delay, we'll be right back after this introduction to Damsel.
I have made a match. A prince. We need this. Your people need you.
I need you to listen to me now. I don't trust them. They may be royalty, but that doesn't make them good people.
Your hand, child.
Close your eyes. I've got you.
And we are back with our Damsel spoiler-free review. This film is directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, and the writer includes Dan Mazu and stars Millie Bobby Brown, Ray Winstone, and Angela Bassett, which is a nice little surprise. I was actually surprised to see her being attached to this film. Kind of came out of left field, but hey, it's a welcome invitation. And the synopsis is as follows. A dutiful damsel agrees to marry a handsome prince, only to find the royal family has recruited her as a sacrifice to repay an ancient debt. Thrown into a cave with a fire-breathing dragon, she must rely on her wits and will to survive. So that's all you're going to get. That's like the most basic synopsis I could find out there. It gives you the structure of the story without giving away any details. And this movie clocks in for a runtime that is around an hour and 40 minutes. So it's a digestible watch. It's a very easy watch. So I'm going to just talk about my initial reactions of this film. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to be giving my initial reactions. I'm going to dive straight on in here for you guys, but a little bit of context before I do. There are two Damsel films out there. There's the 2018 Damsel that stars Robert Pattinson and Dave Zellner and a few others. So that is a different Damsel. That is the 2018 Damsel it's a completely different type of movie. It's like set in the Wild Wild West. So this is Damsel 2024. For those who may not know, there are a lot of films out there that share the same name. So just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight in on the title of this film. So I'm going to keep my thoughts on this film concise and free of spoilers to ensure that everyone can enjoy it for what it is, as I mentioned before. But as a fan of Millie Bobby Brown's work, I was excited when this news broke that this film was coming out back in 2020. And I was pretty surprised that she would be both executive producing this film and starring in this new fantasy film titled Damsel for Netflix. And to me, the decision seemed logical, especially given the success after the first Enola Holmes movie, which also debuted in 2020, in which Millie Bobby Brown was also an involved producer on for that film. And of course, now we have a sequel to Enola Holmes, which is Enola Holmes 2. And honestly, with her track record, I had high hopes for Damsel. With her track record of her being a producer on the first Enola Holmes, and I'm assuming that she is for the second, but don't quote me on that because I could be totally wrong. The fact that she is able to be in the producer chair, or the producer seat, I should say, and help create these films gave me a lot of high hopes for Damsel. And I honestly feel like Damsel was a solid watch, to be completely honest. Going into only a few details from the synopsis and not knowing what to expect on my end, I was pretty entertained. And like I said before, with a runtime of only an hour and 40 minutes, it delivered precisely what I was seeking. It's a fairy tale narrative with a limited cast. So there's not a lot of cast members or a lot of characters within this film that you have to keep track of, making it easily digestible, yet filled with enjoyable action. The initial 30 minutes of this film serves more of a setup for the rest of the film. So it primarily focuses on Millie's character, which is named Elodie. Interestingly, her name is Elodie, which is L-O-D. I'm not sure if that's like a playful reference to melody, but I feel like that's open to interpretation a little bit there. So the final hour of this film immerses viewers into Millie's journey within the belly of the beast, situated deep within a mountain. As she grapples with her predicament, the movie truly shines in Millie's talents, prompting speculation about her potential involvement in projects beyond the Netflix sphere. And that's something I've kind of always wondered. You know, we've seen Millie Bobby Brown. Of course, she is widely known for Stranger Things. We've seen her in the Godzilla movies, or the Americanized Godzilla movies. That's really like her only step outside of the Netflix sphere. And then she quickly went back to producing 2 Enola Holmes movies, and now she's executive producing Damsel. So I think Millie Bobby Brown has those acting chops. I just wish that we see her in more non-Netflix films where she can really flex her muscle, and for her to, you know, just shine the way that she's meant to, because she is a phenomenal actress and she's great in this film as well. And also, Millie performs her own stunts in this film, which is actually pretty amazing, as she's navigating through the caverns of this dragon's lair with the dragon voiced by, and I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to try it out anyway, Shohreh Aghdashloo. I think I got that right. Shohreh Aghdashloo. That's the best that I can do. So Shohreh voices the dragon in the film, and she actually delivers a chilling performance. I actually enjoyed her voice. It was more of a welcome experience, at least for me, because usually when you have a dragon's voice, it's something along the lines of like dark and gritty and evil and deceitful. And in a way, it is evil and deceitful with Shohreh's voice, but she has this spin that she throws on it where it is a female dragon. And unlike something that you hear from Benedict Cumberbatch from The Hobbit, this was more of a cunning dragon voice, so to speak. Like, dragons mythologically are very intelligent creatures, and I think Shohreh did a phenomenal job with giving her voice performance to the antagonist of the film. I enjoyed the dynamic interactions between the damsel and the dragon, and it emerges as some of the film's most captivating moments, at least for me. Like, this is very much a movie where it's just Millie alone playing as the character Elodie, and she's trying to escape from this mountain, and there's a dragon lurking around. So you have a little bit of the no one will save you vibes. I'm not sure if anyone's seen that movie. It is on Hulu. Definitely check it out. It is very much Millie's character trying to figure out a way out of the situation that she's been thrown into. So those are just a few of my quick thoughts on Damsel. And I kind of just want to preface this because a lot of people probably don't know that this film is coming out because there's not a lot of marketing. So it's like with a lot of Netflix and TV shows out there, there's usually minimal marketing for this film if your title of your show is not Stranger Things. But if you so happen upon this review for whatever reason, and you enjoy fantasy stories, I highly recommend giving this a watch. In my opinion, it stands out as one of Netflix's better films, not the best, but not the worst, for a cozy night in with the family. And of course, if you include the runtime clocking in at about an hour and 40 minutes, it serves as the true hero of this film. I was so happy that this was not like a 2 hour and 10, 2 hour and 20 minute adventure, because there's not much you can really do here. And within the story itself, it's very surface level, but it gives you enough to keep you wanting to see how the film ends. And I think that's why the runtime is the true hero of this film. Also, the runtime makes the movie fly by faster than what I expected. It was a quick in and out, really an hour and 30, because you have to kind of include maybe 8 to 10 minutes for credits. So it's really like an hour and 30. You're in, you're out. You got the rest of your evening ahead of you. So it's a fun watch for sure. And I think people should check it out. But as far as ratings go, if I were to assign this a score, I would give it a solid 65 out of 100. I think that is a perfect sweet spot for a quick fantasy adventure in the world of Damsel. As I mentioned before, you get some pretty great performances. Even Angela Bassett, as always, she's giving her all, but it is really all about Millie's character, Elodie, and her trials and tribulations that come with that. And I've been thinking about who this movie is for, and I'm like, it's a cool family film. You know, it's a twist on the fairy tale genre where the damsel or the princess does not get saved by the prince. She effectively saves herself and she carves her own path. And, you know, I think this movie knows exactly what it is. And, you know, I had a good time. I had fun with it. And it is something definitely people should check out. And with all that said, that concludes today's episode. If you enjoy what you heard on today's episode, subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast platform of choice. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Threads at Film Optix. Again, that's Optix with an X. And don't forget to share an episode of our podcast with a fellow movie lover, whether it be your mother, your brother, or your significant other. Spread the love for the Film Optix podcast. Now, really quick, let's take a sneak peek at what's coming up next on the show. So as far as new review releases, we have our Dune Part 2 spoiler-free review, as well as our Shogun Episodes 1 and 2 spoiler-free review, and our Avatar The Last Airbender Netflix series review. And for upcoming episodes, we have our Dune Part 2 spoiler review. That's going to be dropping here pretty soon. I'm pretty excited for that one. As well as our Invincible Season 2 Part 2 review, the second part of Season 2 that will be hitting Amazon Prime within the next few weeks, but we're going to have that out for you here a little bit early, so that's going to be awesome. So again, thank you guys all for listening. If you enjoy the show, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and stay connected with us by following us again on Twitter and Instagram for all that social media garbage for the latest updates. My name is Christian, and I'm signing off. And remember, life is like a movie, so go out there and make it a blockbuster.